The ship screamed as it fell through the atmosphere. Inside the cockpit, pulled hard on the controls, but nothing responded. Smoke filled the cabin. Warning lights flashed red everywhere. He had maybe 30 seconds before impact. He thought about his life back on Earth, his mother's small restaurant inn, the smell of the sea, the military years that followed, the scars he carried both inside and outside. None of it mattered now. The jungle below was rushing up to meet him. The crash was violent, metal twisted, glass shattered. The world became noise and pain and darkness. When opened his eyes, he did not know how much time had passed. Hours, maybe a full day. His body was broken in several places. Blood covered his face. His left arm hung at a wrong angle, but he was alive. Somehow he was alive. He crawled out of the wreckage. The jungle around him was thick and green and completely alien. Strange birds called from the trees. The air was heavy and wet. 2 suns hung in the sky, one large and orange, one small and white. 7, he remembered now. He had been delivering medical supplies to a research station on the other side of this moon. A simple job, good pay, no complications. Except his navigation system had failed and his engines had caught fire, and now he was stranded in a jungle on a world he knew nothing about. Tried to stand. His legs gave out. He fell face first into the mud. This is how I die, he thought. Not in battle, not saving anyone, just bleeding out in alien dirt alone. He heard movement in the trees. Something was watching him. Reached for his knife, the only weapon he had managed to grab before the crash. His fingers closed around the handle. If something wanted to eat him, he would make it work for its meal. But what emerged from the jungle was not a predator. They were small, covered in soft gray fur. They walked on 2 legs like humans, but their faces were like cats with large golden eyes and pointed ears. 3 of them barely reaching his waist. Children. They were children. They stared at him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Lowered his knife. He tried to speak, but only a groan came out. One of the children, the smallest one with light gray fur, stepped forward. She made a soft sound like a question. Her companions grabbed her arm, trying to pull her back, but she shook them off and approached the bleeding human. She reached out and touched his hand. Her fur was incredibly soft. Her touch was gentle, looked into her golden eyes and saw no threat there, only concern, only kindness. The children ran away, thought they had abandoned him. He closed his eyes and waited for death. But they came back. This time they brought an adult. She was taller than the children, but still shorter than. Her fur was darker gray, almost silver, and her eyes held the wisdom of many years. She wore simple robes and carried a wooden staff. When she saw the human lying in the mud, she stopped. Her eyes went wide. Knew what he looked like to her. He had seen how other species reacted to humans. Fear, disgust, hatred. Humans were known across the galaxy as killers, war makers, the species that had nearly destroyed itself 100 times before finally reaching the stars. Most aliens avoided humans whenever possible. He expected her to run, or to kill him while he was weak. Instead, she knelt beside him. She spoke in a language he did not understand. Her voice was soft and musical. She examined his wounds with careful hands. She looked at the children and gave them instructions. They ran off again. The woman stayed with. She cleaned the blood from his face with a wet cloth. She stabilized his broken arm with wooden sticks and strips of fabric. She worked calmly and efficiently, like she had done this many times before. When the children returned, they brought more adults. Together, they lifted onto a stretcher made of branches and vines. They carried him through the jungle. The village was small, maybe 30 homes built from wood and leaves, arranged in a circle around a central fire pit. More of these cat-like aliens watched as the human was brought in. Some hissed in fear. Others pulled their children inside. But the silver-furred woman shouted something, and the crowd parted. They brought him to her home. They laid him on a bed of soft plants. The woman began treating his wounds with herbs and medicines that smelled strange but felt soothing. Faded in and out of consciousness. In his clearer moments, he learned things. He learned that these people were called the. He learned that the woman's name was, and she was something like a healer and elder combined. He learned that the 3 children who had found him were named and was the bravest, the one who had first touched his hand. She visited him often, sitting by his bed and watching him with those large golden eyes. She was not afraid of him. This confused. Everyone was afraid of humans. On the 3rd day his fever broke. Brought him soup. It tasted strange but good. While he ate, she spoke to him in broken common, the trade language of the galaxy. "You are human," she said. It was not a question. "Yes." "Humans are dangerous." "Yes." She studied him for a long moment. "Why did you come here?" "I crashed. I did not choose to come here." Nodded slowly. "Some in village want you gone. They say humans bring death." Said nothing. She was not wrong. "I tell them no," continued. "I tell them we do not leave any creature to die alone. This is our way." "Why?" asked. "Why help me?" Smiled. It was a strange expression on her feline face, but somehow warm. "Because kindness is what separates us from beasts." That night Little snuck into his room. She placed a small flower on his chest, giggled, and ran away. Held the flower and felt something crack open inside him, something he had kept locked away for many years. Outside in the darkness of the jungle something howled. His face went pale. "What was that?" asked. She whispered, "They have returned." 1 week passed. His body healed slowly, but it healed. The medicines were good, better than good. His broken arm was already strong enough to move. The deep cuts on his chest were closing. He had survived worse injuries in his military days, but never had he recovered this fast. He tried to fix his ship. Every morning he walked to the crash site and examined the wreckage. Every evening he returned to the village with bad news. The navigation system was destroyed. The communication array was melted. The engine core was cracked beyond repair. "How long?" asked him one night. "Months," said. "Maybe longer. I need parts that do not exist on this moon." Nodded. She did not seem upset. "Then you stay with us, you eat with us, you live with us." "Your people fear me." "My people fear many things. They will learn." And slowly they did learn. Was not a friendly man. He had spent too many years alone, too many years fighting. He did not know how to smile easily or make small talk, but they did not seem to mind. They gave him space. They did not push. They simply included him day by day, meal by meal. The children were different. They had no patience for his silence. Followed him everywhere. She asked questions constantly. Why did humans have such flat faces? Why did they have no fur? Why were their ears so small? How could they hear anything with such tiny ears? Found himself answering. He did not know why. Maybe because her curiosity was so pure. Maybe because she reminded him of his little sister, who had died in the soul floods when he was just a boy. "Earth is very different from here," he told her one afternoon. They sat by the river while he tried to catch fish with a spear. He was failing badly. "We have only one sun. The sky is blue, not purple, and it is much colder." Cold? Did not understand. 7 was always warm. "Yes, so cold that water becomes hard. Like stone, we call it ice." His eyes went wide. "Water becomes stone, you lie." "I do not lie. I want to see this ice." Almost smiled, almost, maybe one day. Was different from, he was quiet and watchful. He rarely spoke, but he noticed everything. He was the one who taught which plants were safe to eat and which would make him sick. He was the one who showed him how to walk through the jungle without making noise. "You are loud," told him once. It was the longest sentence the boy had ever spoken to him. "Very loud, you step on everything." "I am human," said. "We are not built for quiet." Considered this. I will teach you." And he did. Day after day, the small boy taught the large human soldier how to move like a shadow. Was a terrible student, but he tried. He tried because was trying so hard to help him. Was the youngest. She was afraid of at first. She would hide behind whenever he came near. But children are curious creatures, no matter what species they are. One day, she approached him while he was sitting alone, sharpening his knife. She held out a small wooden figure. It was carved roughly, but he could tell it was meant to be a human. Flat face, small ears, no fur. "For you," she said in her tiny voice. Took the figure, his throat felt tight. "You made this." Nodded. It is very good." She smiled then, showing her small fangs, and ran away laughing. Looked at the wooden figure for a long time. He put it in his pocket, where it stayed from that day forward. One evening, the whole village gathered around the central fire for a meal, sat apart as he always did, but came and sat beside him. "You are not like other humans," she said. "You have met other humans." "No, but I have heard stories, terrible stories, humans who burned worlds, humans who killed millions, humans who made war for no reason." Was silent. He could not deny these stories, they were true. "But you," continued, "you are gentle with the children, you work hard, you do not take more than you need, you are." "I am still a human," said. "The stories are true, we are violent, we fight, it is in our blood." "Why?" He thought about the question. He had asked himself the same thing many times over the years. "Earth was not kind to us," he finally said. "Everything wanted to kill us. The animals, the weather, the diseases, even each other. We had to become strong. We had to become dangerous, or we would have died." Listened carefully. "We learned to fight before we learned to talk," continued. "We killed the things that hunted us. Then we killed the things that might hunt us. Then we killed things just because we could. It took us a long time to learn that strength does not have to mean cruelty." "And have you learned this?" Looked at the children playing near the fire, was chasing, was watching with a small smile. "I am still learning." That night the howling came again, closer this time, much closer. Went to the edge of the village. In the moonlight he could see tracks in the mud, massive paw prints, 6 toes on each foot, claws as long as his fingers. Said, appearing beside him, her voice trembled. "How many?" "A full pack, 7 or 8. "What are they?" "Death." Her golden eyes were filled with fear. "They are the death of this jungle. They sleep for many years, then wake and hunt. Nothing escapes them. Nothing survives them." "Have they attacked the village before?" "Once, before I was born. They killed half our people." Stared at the tracks. His soldier's mind was already calculating. 7 predators, 30 villagers, none of them fighters, 3 children who could not run fast enough. "Why are they coming here?" "I do not know. Something has disturbed them, made them hungry." Grabbed his arm. Her grip was weak, desperate. "We cannot fight them. We are not like you. We do not know how." Looked at the jungle. Somewhere out there monsters were waiting, watching, planning. "Then I will have to teach you," he said. 3 days passed. They did not attack, but they did not leave either. Every night their howls echoed through the jungle. Every morning new tracks appeared around the village, closer and closer. Did what he could. He taught the villagers to build barriers. He showed them how to make torches. He explained that fire scared most predators, though he did not know if it would scare these ones. But they were not fighters. Their hands shook when they held spears. Their voices trembled when they practiced shouting. They had evolved on a peaceful world, a world without predators. For thousands of years they had never needed to fight. Now they did not know how. "It is not your fault," told one evening. "You cannot learn in days what my people learned over millions of years." "Then what do we do?" "You stay inside the barriers. You keep the fires burning. You do not go into the jungle alone." "And you?" Checked his knife. It was sharp. It was also very small compared to what they were facing. I do what I can. The attack came on the fourth night. But it was not at the village. Had taken the 3 cubs to gather medicine plants near the river. The sun was still up. The hunted at night. Everyone knew this. It was safe. Everyone was wrong. Was at the village when he heard the scream. It was high and thin and full of terror. A child's scream. He ran. He did not think. He did not plan. He simply ran toward the sound, crashing through the jungle like a wild animal. He found them in a small clearing near the water. Stood in the center, clutching the 3 cubs against her body. Her face was pale. Her whole body was shaking. Around them, in a perfect circle, stood the... Stopped at the edge of the clearing. His heart was pounding. His breath was fast. But his mind was cold and clear, the way it always became before a fight. He studied the enemy. They were massive. Each one was bigger than a tiger. They had 6 legs thick with muscle. Their fur was black as shadow, which explained their name. Their eyes glowed red in the fatting light. And their fangs, their terrible fangs, were as long as his forearm. 7 of them, 7 monsters, and in the center 4 helpless. The alpha was easy to spot. It was the largest, with a long scar running across its face. It moved slowly, confidently, circling the prey. It was in no hurry. It knew its victims had nowhere to go. Saw first. Her golden eyes went wide. She opened her mouth maybe to call his name, but clamped a hand over it. Smart boy. Any sound might trigger the attack. His mind raced through options. He had no gun, no armor, no backup. Just a knife and a makeshift spear he had grabbed as he ran, against 7 creatures built for killing. Any sane person would have run. Any sane person would have saved themselves and mourned the dead later. But had never been particularly sane. He stepped into the clearing. They noticed him immediately. Several turned their heads, studying this new arrival. The alpha stopped circling, its red eyes fixed on the human. Walked forward, slow, steady, each step deliberate. The cubs watched with huge eyes, shook her head desperately, silently begging him to run. But he did not run. He kept walking until he stood between the pack and the... He faced the alpha. For a long moment, nothing happened. The jungle was silent. Even the birds had stopped singing. It was as if the whole world was holding its breath. Then did something that no creature on 7 had ever done to a... He bared his teeth. It was not a smile. It was a threat, a challenge, an animal gesture from an ancient time, from millions of years ago when his ancestors hunted on the plains of Africa. And then he snarled. The sound came from deep in his chest, low and guttural and savage. It was not a human sound. It was the sound of a predator. They reacted. Some took a step back, others growled in response. The alpha's eyes narrowed. It was not afraid, not yet, but it was confused. This small, furless creature was not acting like prey. Prey ran, prey begged, prey submitted. This creature was challenging them. Said, his voice quiet but steady. When I move, you take the children and run. Do not look back, do not stop. Get to the village. They will kill you. Maybe, but they will not kill you, not today. They promise me. His voice broke. I promise. Shifted his weight. He raised his spear. He never took his eyes off the alpha. Whatever happens, he said, tell the children I was glad to meet them. The alpha roared. The sound shook the trees. Roared back. And then the world exploded into violence. The alpha lunged. It moved faster than anything that size should be able to move. One moment it was standing still. The next it was flying through the air, fangs aimed at its throat. But was ready. He had not survived 20 years of military service by being slow. His body moved before his mind could think. He stepped to the side, twisted his hips, and drove his spear forward with all his strength. The weapon sank into the alpha's shoulder. The beast screamed and crashed to the ground, rolling in the mud. Blood sprayed everywhere. Run bellowed. Grabbed the cubs and ran, tried to look back but dragged her forward. They disappeared into the jungle. Two moved to chase them, threw himself into their path. He swung his knife wildly, slashing at their faces. One of them caught his arm with its claws. Pain exploded through his body. He ignored it. "Come on," he screamed at them. "Come on, you ugly monsters, I'm right here." The beasts turned their attention back to him. Good, that was good. As long as they focused on him, they had a chance. The wounded alpha rose to its feet. It pulled the spear from its shoulder with its teeth and snapped it in half. Blood ran down its leg, but its eyes burned with rage. 5 healthy, 1 wounded, 1 human. Smiled, it was not a pleasant smile. "Let's dance," he said. They came at him from all sides, became something he had not been in years. He became the soldier, the killer, the thing that other humans feared. He moved like water, like fire. He ducked under slashing claws. He rolled away from snapping fangs. His knife found eyes, throats, soft bellies. He fought without thought, without fear, without mercy. A caught his leg. He felt teeth sink into his flesh. He twisted and drove his knife into the creature's skull. It released him and fell. Another one raked his back with its claws. 3 deep cuts, bleeding heavily. He spun and kicked it in the face, buying himself a moment to breathe. Blood covered him, his blood, their blood. The ground was turning red. 2 were down, 5 remained and was slowing. His wounds were taking their toll, his vision was starting to blur. The alpha circled him carefully now. It had learned. This prey was dangerous. This prey fought back. His legs shook. His arms felt like lead. The knife was slippery with blood in his hand. He thought about lying down. He thought about giving up. He had done enough. They had time to escape. He had saved them. But then he heard something. A small voice behind him. He turned his head. Was standing at the edge of the clearing. She had come back, and were with her, held back by who was crying and begging them to run. But had grabbed a rock, a small, pathetic rock, and she was staring at them with her golden eyes full of tears and terror. "Leave him alone," she screamed. Her voice cracked. She was shaking so hard she could barely stand. She threw the rock. It bounced off his hide without leaving a mark. The beast turned toward her, its eyes narrowed, easy prey. Something inside shattered. Not his body. His body was already broken. Something else. Some wall he had built around his heart many years ago. Some barrier that kept him cold and distant and alone. He screamed. It was not a battle cry. It was not a threat. It was something deeper, something more primal. It was the sound of a creature protecting its family. He threw himself at the moving toward. He hit it with his shoulder, knocking it aside. He slashed at its face, blinding it. He kicked its legs out from under it. "Make noise," he roared at the cubs. "Be loud, don't let them see your fear." The cubs stared at him. "Scream now." Screamed. It was a high, thin sound, but it was something. Joined her, his quiet voice breaking into a shout. Even Little screamed, though she hid behind while doing it. Understood, she screamed too. And screamed with them. The clearing filled with noise. Shouting, roaring, screaming, they hesitated. This was wrong. This was not how prey behaved. Prey ran, prey hid, prey died quietly. This prey was fighting, all of them together. The children picked up rocks, sticks, anything they could find. They threw them at the beasts. None of the throws did any damage, but that was not the point. The point was the defiance, the refusal to submit. Grabbed a fallen branch and swung it like a club. He charged at the pack, screaming. The cubs screamed behind him, screamed. The broke. The alpha looked at its pack, 2 dead, 2 more wounded, and this insane creature still fighting, still refusing to die. Behind it, more noise, more chaos, more prey that did not act like prey. The alpha made a decision. It howled once, a long and mournful sound, and turned away. The surviving followed. They disappeared into the jungle. Stood in the center of the clearing, swaying. His body was destroyed. Blood poured from a dozen wounds. His vision was almost gone. But he was smiling. Ran to him. She wrapped her small arms around his leg, the only part of him she could reach. "You did not run," she said, crying. "No," whispered, "I did not run." He collapsed. The last thing he heard before the darkness took him was voice, calling his name. Dreamed of Earth. He dreamed of his mother's restaurant, the smell of cooking meat, the sound of rain on the roof. He dreamed of his sister, young and laughing before the floods took her. He dreamed of the wars he had fought, the men he had killed, the friends he had buried. And then he dreamed of fur, soft gray fur, golden eyes, small hands holding his. He woke up. The ceiling above him was made of woven leaves. Sunlight filtered through the gaps. He was lying on something soft. His body was wrapped in bandages. Everything hurt. But he was alive. A face appeared above him. Her golden eyes were red from crying, but she was smiling. "You are awake," she said. Tried to speak. His throat was dry. Only a croak came out. Disappeared and came back with water. She helped him drink. The liquid was cool and sweet. "How long?" managed. 2 days, said you might die, but I knew you would not. You are too strong." Wanted to laugh, but it hurt too much. "I do not feel strong." You fought 7, you won." "I did not win, I survived. There is a difference." Shook her head. Her expression was serious beyond her years. "No, you won. You taught us to fight. You taught us to scream. We won together." Closed his eyes. The memory came back. The cubs throwing rocks, screaming, standing beside him instead of running, such a small thing, such a brave, stupid, beautiful thing. "You should not have come back," he said. "You should have run." "You did not run. Why should we?" He had no answer for that. Over the next few days, slowly recovered. His body healed faster than it should have, thanks to the medicines. Visited him often, changing his bandages, feeding him soup, watching him with those wise golden eyes. "The village is talking," she told him one evening. "About what?" "About you, about what you did." She paused. "They are no longer afraid of you." "They should be. Humans are dangerous." "Yes, but they understand now that dangerous is not always bad. Sometimes dangerous protects. Sometimes dangerous saves." Said nothing. He did not know how to respond to that. The cubs visited every day. Brought him flowers. Brought him carved wooden animals. Was still shy, but she no longer hid from him. Sometimes she would sit in the corner of his room and just watch him, her tail swishing back and forth. One afternoon, asked him a question. "Will you leave when your ship is fixed?" Looked at her. She was trying to seem calm, but her ears were flat against her head. She was scared of the answer. "I do not know," he said honestly. "I have been alone for a long time. I am used to it." "But you are not alone now. You have us." Such simple words, such enormous meaning. "Yes," said quietly, "I suppose I do." Weeks passed. His wounds healed. He began walking again, then running, then training. But he was not training alone. The young watched him practice. Some of them asked to join. He taught them, not how to kill, not how to make war, but how to stand when they were afraid, how to make noise when they wanted to be silent, how to fight when everything inside them screamed to submit. "You will never be warriors," he told them. "And that is good. Warriors are made for killing, but you can be guardians. Guardians protect. There is no shame in that." Watched these lessons with a strange expression. One evening, she came to speak with him. "We have a word," she said, "for what you are teaching them. We call it. It means the courage to stand between darkness and light." "That is a good word." "We thought we had lost it. We thought gentleness meant we could not fight. You showed us that we were wrong." "I showed you nothing. Threw a rock at a monster. That was courage. I just gave her permission to use it." Smiled. "You are a strange human." Yes, I suppose I am. 3 months later, a ship appeared in the sky. It was a Galactic Union vessel responding to his distress signal. Watched it land with complicated feelings. The officers who emerged were surprised to find a human living in a village. They were even more surprised when the villagers gathered around him protectively. "This human is under our protection," announced. Her voice was strong. Her golden eyes were fierce. "He is our family." The officers looked at each other, confused. Stepped forward. "I crashed here months ago. These people saved my life. They took me in when they had every reason to fear me. Sir, we can take you home, back to human space." Home, the word felt strange. Where was home? Earth? He had not been there in years. His ship, it was a wreck. He had no family, no friends, no ties. He looked at the cubs, was holding his hand, stood beside him like a small guardian, was hiding behind his leg, but she was growling at the strangers. "I am home," said. The officers left. They filed a report. Somewhere in the vast bureaucracy of the Galactic Union, someone would read about a human who chose to stay with aliens instead of returning to his own kind. They would probably not understand. That was fine, did not need them to understand. That night the village held a celebration. There was food and music and dancing. They danced in strange circular patterns, their movements graceful and alien. Did not dance. He sat by the fire and watched. Sat beside him. "Are you happy?" she asked. Thought about the question. He thought about his life before the crash, the emptiness, the loneliness, the feeling that he was just waiting to die. He looked at the fire, at the dancing villagers, at the 3 cubs who had become something like children to him, at who had become something like a friend. "Yes," he said, "I think I am." Leaned against him. Her fur was soft and warm. "Good," she said, "because we are happy too." Above them the 2 sons of 7 sat behind the trees. The stars came out, strange and beautiful. Somewhere in the jungle the howled. But the village was safe. The fires burned bright, and a human who had once been a soldier, a killer, a thing that other species feared, sat surrounded by family and smiled. The galaxy thought they knew what humans were: predators, monsters, destroyers. But they never understood the deeper truth. Humans did not just hunt, they protected, they guarded, they stood between the darkness and the light. And sometimes, the most dangerous thing in the universe was not a predator seeking prey. It was a guardian who had found something worth dying for.